child-centered reintegration, no more blanket punishments, and especially no more shame. We are done with making our students who can't access mainstream school feel like a burden, like an issue, like they're wrong. It's their body telling us that they don't feel safe. Hi, and welcome back to the Mindful Toolbox podcast. I'm Sarahlynn, and if you're a returning listener, thank you so much for walking this journey with me. You're part of a growing community of parents who want education to feel safe and supportive. And if this is your first episode, welcome. You've landed in a space where we blend neuroscience, strategy, and compassion to give you tools that work for real life, not just on paper. Now, this is an episode that kind of builds on some of the other episodes we've looked at. We had an earlier episode 2 of the Mindful Toolbox podcast that talked about what emotional-based school non-attendance is and the early signs. Last episode 10, we discussed how you can support yourself and your child with fuss-free, safe start mornings. But today, we are asking the tough question. When school feels impossible, what should schools actually do? And just as importantly, how can you advocate for your child without burning out? Oh, it's gonna be a big one today. Okay, so I want to start with a bigger picture because EBSNA, it's not a niche, it's not a small issue. It's a growing national challenge, okay? In 2023-2024, 1.5 million pupils were classed as persistently absent with either mental health, SEN, and anxiety cited as the leading causes. And because it's such a big issue and the buzz around school non-attendance is so loud, as of August 2024, the DFE, the Department for Education in England, has made attendance guidance statutory. That means that schools must work in partnership with families early, not just wait until absence spirals. And keeping a pulse on things that are a little bit more on the local side, here in Berkshire, Surrey, and neighboring counties, councils are building EBSA toolkits offering phased return models and trialing mental health support teams in schools, which is amazing. It's so great. And it shows that when our support systems are in alignment, we're so much more effective together. The good news is that change is happening. The challenge is that not every school knows how to respond well yet. And that is where this conversation comes into play. In order for you to advocate well, you need to have the right tools, the right knowledge. So here's what that actually looks like when schools get it right. Here's what they need to do. First and foremost, they are legally required to safeguard not just academic, but emotional safety as well, which means that policies like the SEND Code of Practice can't be ignored. There's things in that code of practice that provides opportunity for shifting things around. So gone are the blanket statements. The thing is, this isn't just policy. In Reading, a pilot using phased relational reintegration saw 95% of students re-enter. That's amazing. And in West Berkshire, they have a dedicated EBSA team and a toolkit for parents and schools so everyone can be part of the journey together. And a little bit closer to home in Wokingham, they are training their staff through mental health support teams to spot early signs, like we talked about in episode 3, and support for phased returns. On a bigger scale, Bracknell Forest and the Royal Borough for Windsor and Maidenhead have created parent-friendly guides that put partnership at the center of everything, framing EBSA as a shared problem, not a parent's failure. So what do these examples have in common? Systems aligned around one principle. It's the principle we keep promoting. Safety first, attendance will then follow. So when you sit down in that school meeting, which I know you've been called into for if your child has been missing class, when you sit down in that meeting, you don't have to go empty-handed. You can say things like, other local authorities in Berkshire are already using EBSA frameworks. Can we trial something similar here? That, my friends, is advocacy rooted in fact, and it shifts the tone from blame and guilt to collaboration and proactive working together. Speaking of advocacy, how can we advocate without burning out? So many of the parents that we've worked with through Maverick Education are at the point or so far past the point of burnout, it's becoming a problem. It's an issue because if you are at burnout, we can't support our children anymore. So I know you might be thinking and asking yourself, that sounds great, Sarahlynn, but I've been in these meetings before. It's exhausting, it's isolating, and it can feel like there's a whole team of people against you, the parent. And you're right. I've been in those meetings. They can feel intimidating. And advocacy can feel like a second full-time job. But here's the truth. You don't need to do it all. And you especially don't need to do it alone. In fact, you shouldn't. So here are 4 practical ways to advocate without tipping into burnout. This is something that I want you to put into your toolbox. I want you to go in with evidence, not just emotion. We love our children so much, and so we want to talk about how they're struggling, but bring the log that you've been using and documenting that we talked about in episode 10, so you can share concrete examples of what has worked and what hasn't. When you present data, schools are more likely to respond constructively. It's no longer about opinion. The second thing you're going to do is you're going to use ready-made language. My sister's a nurse, and sometimes she uses language that sounds like another language, really. It sounds so far out of my reach. And so I have to remind her, put it in layman's terms, please. Speak to me as if I'm a 4-year-old. I want to be able to understand what you're saying. And that's what we need to do when we speak to our schools as well. When we drafted the template that you can use to send to the school and the different meeting scripts we've created for you, which you can find all in the show notes down below, you don't have to become a wordsmith when you're already stretched thin. What we really want is clear, concise language that they're going to resonate with. Something like, we're seeing clear EBSA patterns at home, and in line with the DAV attendance guidance and SEND code of practice, we'd like to trial a phased return. That's it. It anchors your request in policy, not opinion, and you don't have to fluff it out and share all of the trials and tribulations that you're going through at home. Do it with your logbook, do it factual, and then anchor that language. The third thing that you're going to do, and perhaps the most important and often overlooked, is to bring an ally. This could be your partner, a family support worker, or a trusted friend. 2 people hear more, remember more, and it means you don't have to carry the weight alone. I've personally attended a few of these meetings alongside our families, and let me tell you, when you're going in as a parent and you are at capacity, your guard dog is going off, that prefrontal cortex wise owl is not listening, and you miss out on so much. But if you have someone there to take notes, set the recorder, anything like that, it ensures that you can leave that meeting feeling confident that you know how to move forward. And lastly, number 4, set your own limits. You're allowed to ask for a pause. If a meeting becomes heated or shaming or feeling like you've shut down yourself, it is okay. It is encouraged to say, look, I'd like to pause here and we can reconvene with notes and writing. It protects your regulation, which in the grand scheme of things protects your child's as well. Remember what we said back in episode 10? Regulation is the bridge back to learning. That applies to you as much as it applies to your child. And here's the bigger picture. Every small step you take models advocacy for your child. While they see you calmly pressing for fairness, you're not just fighting for their education. You're teaching them resilience. You're teaching them how to show up, hold your own, be confident, and respectful within a wider community. And that is incredible teaching that no curriculum will ever cover. Now, I mentioned that I've worked with a lot of our families through this process with Maverick Education. So I wanted to bring in a real world example. 1 year 8 boy that we supported in Berkshire had been out of school for nearly a full term. His mornings were complete shutdowns. He was silent, curled under the duvet, unable to face the day. And his parents were exhausted and felt like every meeting at school ended in blame. They were trying to navigate timetables and who would look after him and childcare and financial strain and all of the different bills coming in because they were being fined from the school. Here's what shifted. Instead of forcing attendance, the family and the school agreed on a phased timetable linked back to his strengths. He started with 20 minutes in the library, supported by a safe adult. Then, over the weeks, that built into 1 subject block, then 2. And within a term, he was attending half days. Not because he was pushed and forced into it, but because the reintegration was relational and predictable. We didn't throw him into the deep end and watch him drown or make him swim against a current. We gave him a small swimming pool and increasingly added a little bit more space every time he felt confident. That's the power of schools working with families, not against them. We don't want to lower our expectation for students just because they have a special educational need. We want to make sure we're holding them up to that same standard, but not at the same pathway expectations. There needs to be a little bit fluidity. So yes, the system, it has gaps, and the whole process is exhausting and it can feel isolating, but there are green shoots. The challenge is making sure that every parent knows that these examples exist. So you can point to them in meetings and say, look, this is happening 20 miles away. Why is it not happening here? And I'm really hoping that you can see and feel the impact of this reverberated cry for help, because often when parents can say, this isn't just my child, this is a pattern, and other schools are already adapting successfully, that is when real change can come about. I know all of this can feel incredibly overwhelming, so let's boil it down to a few concrete steps so you can try this week. Think of it as advocacy in action. 1, document, don't debate. Instead of re-explaining the morning meltdowns, keep a simple 5-day log. Time, trigger, behavior, what helped. This moves the conversation with school from feelings to facts. 2, name the need, not the behavior. When you write or speak with a school, frame it like this. When mornings are unpredictable, my child's anxiety spikes. They need predictability first, and then attendance can come. It keeps the focus on the regulation, not the refusal. 3, bring the guidance into the room. Print a copy of the DFE 2024 statutory guidance on attendance. The link is in the show notes. Bring it with you. Highlight the line about child-centered reintegration. Then in your meeting, you can refer back to it and say things like, we'd like to work in line with best practices here. It's not condescending, it's not egotistical, it's informed, it's confident, and it's in the best interest of every party at that table. Next, ask for 1 adjustment, not 10. Overwhelm is the enemy, not just to your child, but to the school staff as well. Start with a single request, a safe adult contact, a quiet entry route, maybe a phased return. When that's in place, layer on the next. And remember, advocacy doesn't have to be adversarial. You're not trying to win a fight. The goal is to work in partnership with the school, with the local authority. Everyone wants the best for the child. Lastly, celebrate presence, not perfection. If your child made it to the car park, whoa, celebrate. How exciting is it that they made it in front of the building that creates physical, tangible fear within their body? That's amazing. If they stepped into the building for 10 minutes, that's even more amazing. Celebrate it. The nervous system learns safety by degrees. And those micro wins, they stack up and they keep building that trust. Even if it feels far away right now, start with the data, start with the needs, and start with one small step. Before we close, I want to leave you with this beautiful reminder that I hope you have playing over and over in your mind, even if it's my voice saying it over and over at the end of all of these episodes. But you are not failing, you are navigating. Emotional-based school non-attendance is not a reflection of poor parenting. It is a sign, a biological sign, that your child's nervous system needs safety before it can move forward. And the fact that you are here listening, planning, gathering tools, that is the opposite of failure. Friends, if this week still feels heavy, return to one simple win. One log, one adjustment, one small step in the ladder. Because progress isn't measured in perfect attendance, no matter what people like to think right now. It's measured in trust rebuilt step by step. We need to look at the long-term implications of feeling safe around learning and education. And you don't have to do this alone. You'll find all of today's resources, the guidance links, the regional toolkits, and our school script template waiting in the show notes down below. Use them, share them. They're here to lighten the load. Now, before we pop off, don't forget to set a reminder. Every second Thursday, 7 a.m., you can hear a new episode. If this was really helpful for you, you still have questions, or you want to discuss how any of our templates can support your child, please feel free to get in touch. Let's spread this wide and far. We don't need to do this alone, and these resources are available because they're here to help. Until next time, keep drinking that tea. And know that you now have access to so many tools. We'll see you next time. Woo!